Welcome to the Stellantis Tech and AI podcast. I'm Dale Jewett, your host, and in this episode, our guest is Mamatha Chamarthi, Stellantis Senior Vice President and Chief Business Growth Officer. Mamatha, thanks very much for joining us.
Absolutely, it's my pleasure.
All right, well, we titled this episode Magic Mix, Developing the In-Vehicle Apps That Customers Want and Want to Pay For. I think this is one of the most interesting challenges as a new generation of technology is moving into our vehicles. But before we get much deeper into all of this, Mamatha, how about you take a minute and tell us about your career journey and what motivates you and why you want to be part of this effort that we're doing here at Stellantis.
So I started my career here in the US at Chrysler Corporation starting in 1996, just a few months after my oldest son was born. So as he, every year that he celebrates his birthday, I always say that, okay, now it's going to be 28 years in the auto industry or auto or related industries. And after that, we merged and we became Daimler Chrysler. And that was an exciting time where when we merged, I was also a project manager for getting the companies together. And as you were dating yourself, talking about FM, AM radio and these kind of things, I'm going to be dating myself, talking about having a web presence for a company back then was also a competitive differentiator. So I was responsible as a project manager for day one of the integration of Daimler and Chrysler, building the media website, building the intranet and the internet. So that on day one, when the bell rang, we can have all of these DaimlerChrysler.com and everything that go online for our employees, for the media, and for the external public. And after that, I worked on several post-merger integration projects between Daimler and Chrysler and held various roles within IT, all the way from programmer, project manager to IT manager and so on. And then an opportunity came for me to leave the OEM side to go to financial services as a senior manager. And when I landed there, within a couple months, I was asked if I would lead the separation of Daimler and Chrysler Financial Services. And it's so interesting. I thought that how many people in their career would have an opportunity to merge a company and to separate the same company? And some would say I went to the not so great side or to the dark side, because after the split, I went from Chrysler or Daimler Chrysler to Daimler. But I really enjoyed my career at Daimler, because even there, after the reverse carve out in North America of Daimler Financial Services from Chrysler, we had to establish the whole business from scratch. And so it was a very interesting experience. And in 2010, I had my first opportunity to be the CIO of Consumers Energy, which is a public utility company in Michigan. And I've led the company to be more customer-centric and a green energy company, and implementing smart grid and looking at revenue opportunities in utility serving commercial customers. So that was my first foray into a P&L. Technology enabling making revenue for the company, and a significant pivot into transformational kind of a role as a first CIO. So when I joined Consumers Energy, I still remember our stock was trading at $11.52. And today, the stock's still using the same strategy that we've put together. And for me, that's something important as a leader, that you build things that sustain beyond yourself.
Okay.
And the company is now trading at, like, I think last I checked, it was $55 or $56. So the company is doing pretty well and is on the path to green energy, because as you know, with the advent of EVs, its cradle to grave is the EV green, including the energy that it is using to charge the car. So after that, I went I came back to the auto industry with TRW, and I became the Chief Digital Officer of ZF. And I lived in Germany for about 4.5 years, driving the transformation of ZF from a mechanical engineering company into a mechatronic and a software-defined vehicle company. And thinking about ZF as not just a tier one component supplier, but a tier one systems supplier. And working with the likes of Fiat Chrysler. And one of my colleagues moved to Fiat Chrysler, and he said, "Why don't you come and join us at Fiat Chrysler? And it would be great to drive a similar kind of a transformation that you were driving at ZF." And I can just turn down that opportunity because I still remember the day I started. I read about Chrysler building being built when I was in India, to landing an opportunity at Chrysler. And for me to go back as a top technology executive at Fiat Chrysler was for me going back home or coming back home and making a bigger difference. So I chose this. And when we became Stellantis, I landed in my current role because it's even more transformational. So throughout my career, I've always pivoted towards the most challenging, and I always said, let me dare forward with my thinking.
Nice. That's quite the global resume. And I'm sure you're probably feeling these days that you're in the most challenging part of what we've got going on at Stellantis. And you run a global team, and you're the Chief Business Growth Officer. So I'm sure that means our bosses have said to you, "Hey, we love software, but we need to make a business case out of it." So
Exactly.
now your global team has developed what I think is a pretty compelling theme or a mission statement, which is make my drive safer, make my life easier, make my drive more exciting, all of which I would agree with 100%. How did that whole theme come about, and how does it focus the efforts of what your team is doing?
I was thinking, how can we make it really easy for our customers to understand what can a connected vehicle offer? What kind of experiences? And I thought the first foundational trust that a customer has when they get into a car is that they would go safely from point A to point B. So can software make their drive and their life even more safer?
Mm-hmm.
So that's how the theme of make my drive safer emerged, because that's the foundational. Then I was thinking, connected car is an Internet of Things device, a digital device that fits into the rest of your digital life. And so if it really fits into your digital life, I should be able to sit in the connected car and be able to operate the rest of my digital life.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where make my life easier. So because then my productivity goes up because my car is connected. And the third area is a car, and especially the brands that we have, the 14 brands that we have such strong personality, and they offer so much excitement around even the physical features. Then I was thinking, if I'm driving a Jeep, I want to have an off-road experience, an augmented off-road experience, or a Dodge, an augmented performance experience, or a DS, an augmented luxury experience, or a Maserati. So that's where I was thinking there should be something around the brand, making the whole drive and the experience of driving in that brand exciting. So make my drive exciting. So that's where these three themes emerged. And when I look at safety, there were some fundamental things that we did that compared to the other OEMs, we thought safety is like a trust that the customers are putting in us, that we should not have them pay for safety.
Okay.
We said, if they get into a crash and the car calls us automatically, that should be a safety feature that we just offer it as peace of mind to our customers.
Okay. All right. So that's an interesting philosophy. So to me, I guess does that go that way for all safety products that we consider for what we're doing in Stellantis?
That's a great question. That is a great question. So where do we start and where do we stop? Where do we say we offer this for free? Where do we say that customer pays for this experience or customer pays for this product? So, for example, we offer vehicle location as a free service. So You can go into the mobile app and you can locate your vehicle location, wherever your vehicle is.
Hmm.
And then if your vehicle is stolen, we engage an external service to recover your vehicle.
Okay.
So this is an additional thing where we are incurring costs.
Hmm.
So that we offer it as a subscribable service to our customers.
Hmm.
Where, if you look at South America, we were just talking about last week, I was in South America, and we were talking about how cars are stolen frequently in Rio de Janeiro, Sao Paulo, and unfortunately, we had an experience in Belo Horizonte with
Hmm.
our own car.
Oh no.
So I think having this kind of a service help us recover our cars is very important peace of mind for our customers. And we work with an external company to recover the cars, and north of 85% of our vehicles are recovered.
Well, that's good. So
Yes,
it's obviously working.
it is working. And I think customers understand this value proposition of why we are asking them to pay, because we incur the costs when we engage with this service.
Hmm. Okay. So this is an interesting topic because it's obvious you travel pretty regularly for your work. You run a global team. Um, I'm curious, uh, what differences do you see as you travel in what customers may want inside their vehicles or these types of features, and how do they differ by market?
It's
And are these opportunities for what you guys work on?
I think it's also very interesting that our customers, um, they vary slightly, I would say, but when it comes to post-COVID, and you look at the digital savviness of the customers. Earlier, we used to say, "Oh, well, our parent that's 70 plus or 80 plus, they really don't know how to use Instacart or any of these digital tools." But post-COVID, everyone is digitally savvy.
Hmm.
They understand these digital features really well. So the digital divide um, has become narrower and narrower, I would say, among at least the age demographics of our customers.
Okay.
And then when you look at some of the basic features around safety, that's something common that everyone expects. In Europe, for example, the feature, the ASOS, the automated SOS,
Hmm.
which it is offered as a free feature. It's a regulatory requirement that we offer that as a free feature. In North America, some OEMs charge, we don't charge. And in South America, again, we we don't charge, and we only charge for the stolen vehicle.
Okay.
So I think the customer expectations and what they pay for also differ, and differ based on not only the geography and the demography of the customer, but also it also depends on the segment. When you're
Hmm.
buying a Maserati for like 150,000 or above, there is an expectation that the customer has that most of the connected services are offered as part of the price of the vehicle that they're paying for. And we noticed that even in the NPS scores with the customers that are buying a Grand Wagoneer, that they expect this. So for some of these vehicles, we are offering a 3 years of connected services as part of the MSRP
Hmm.
of the car.
Okay.
And for more on the affordable side, I think what we are trying to do on the affordable side is to see what are the value added features for these customers, and how can we provide them that flexibility to subscribe or not subscribe. And there is also a kind of a perception that South America, IAP, and Middle East Africa are very price sensitive markets. So the customers may not be digitally savvy, or they don't expect connected features.
Hmm.
So, but we are competing in these markets with some of the Chinese OEMs,
Mm.
and they are offering connected services and features at a very competitive price point.
Okay.
So it's no longer that like, okay, in well-established markets, I bring in, a very competitive product with the right kind of features and price. And in, price-sensitive markets, maybe I can remove all of these digital features and I can offer a bare-bone car. So that kind of divide also has disappeared
Uh-huh.
among the customers. So you see Chinese OEMs are targeting mostly IAP, Middle East, Africa, and South America because they can bring it at a price point that would attract the customers. And for us to be competitive, we need to be thinking about that digitally savvy customer and how can we go against this competition in the same way.
That's interesting because to me there's this long-standing friction of the internet. The internet. Everybody wants stuff on the internet to be free. Um, and me personally, coming from a journalism background, you can see how that's been a real struggle in information. People expect that if it's on the internet, it's free, but news organizations need to generate revenue to be able to produce the content. Or the industry has bubbled up against this too. You Every once in a while an automaker seems to think they'll float a balloon that says, oh hey, we'll turn heated seats into like a feature or a service that you could pay for afterward. And people get really really riled up by that because they feel like, well, I why wouldn't, if I pay for it? Because today you're accustomed, if you want a remote start feature or if you want a heated seat feature, where you typically opt for that when you purchase the vehicle, and then it works forever and ever for as long as you own the vehicle. Um, so I'm not sure that we've found the path yet. Although I have to say, as I was thinking about this earlier, I'm like, why would a person in Phoenix, Arizona ever want a heated seat, right? Um,
Exactly.
but the reality is, occasionally it gets cold in Phoenix. I mean, maybe 5 days out of the year, they have a little cold stretch. So maybe the person in Phoenix says, "Hey, give me that opportunity. I don't need a heated seat in July. Trust me, they don't need a heated seat in July in Phoenix. But maybe in January when there's a cold streak, I'd be happy to pay you $5 for you to enable that feature in the car for 7 days when I'm going to need it and I could use it." I'm not sure. I mean, I'm not smart enough to understand the logistics that would be involved in that. But maybe there are business cases where some features you'd be interested in paying for just on demand. I know I've heard you talk before about it'd be great to buy more horsepower if you've decided you wanted to go to a road course or something with your Dodge vehicle.
Mhm. It's all about, Dale, it's all about providing flexibility to our customers. You
Okay.
know, I'm buying the new Dodge EV, and my choice is I want it to be an orderable option to get a higher horsepower in my vehicle. I don't want it to be a subscription. I always want it to be a high performing car. So we need to provide that as an orderable option to the customers. And
Okay.
there are some customers that would say, I don't want that to be an orderable option. I want that flexibility. When I use it, I pay for it. Or some
Okay.
may say, I want to pay it as a monthly subscription for 3 months only. So it could be an on demand model
Hmm.
or a monthly subscription model. From our standpoint as an OEM, we need to provide the customer the choice. And that's the most important thing. What they pay for, when they are given the choice, they are the ones that are in control of making that kind of a decision, whether they're going to subscribe to that feature or whether they're going to subscribe to it or ask it for on demand and they do pay as you go, or they're going to say, well, I want it forever in my car.
Okay.
So I think that's what we believe in as Stellantis, that we should put that decision-making power in the hands of the customer. And that's exactly the reason why, since we put that decision-making power in the hands of the customer, for 3 straight years since we have become Stellantis, we've actually exceeded on our revenue commitments with our software-defined vehicle.
Hmm. That's interesting, but that also probably means that as we engineer, the engineering community has to keep that flexibility in mind as they're developing
Exactly.
vehicles, because you
Exactly.
have to be able to have the option to turn a feature on or off if you want the flexible demand on demand model.
Exactly. And I think when you look at the evolution of the auto industry, we always started with, we had platform teams even in Chrysler
Hmm.
and Daimler Chrysler and even Stellantis. We have our Stella medium, Stella frame, Stella large, Stella small. We've always been going after these platforms.
Hmm.
Now, with software defined vehicle, we have that flexibility as an OEM, and we have that opportunity to decouple the hardware from the software and upgrade the hardware independently and upgrade the software. And so when you start looking at decoupling and upgrading the software, it gives us an opportunity. So before it was like I buy the vehicle, and in a year or two, I feel like my vehicle has become old, or maybe three, I go to replace it. Right? In a
Hmm.
lifespan of 10 years of a vehicle, it changes ownership at least three times,
Hmm.
2 or 3 times. So, but now with software, you can keep the vehicle fresh and start providing these options. For example, we launched recently the emergency vehicle alert system. We were able to go back all the way to 2018 model year vehicles and update those vehicles with this particular feature. So imagine putting yourself in the shoes of the customer. I'm driving like a 6-year-old vehicle, 5-year-old vehicle, and I'm getting a new feature. There is an excitement that you feel like,
Hmm.
when you get like something new, like an excitement of getting a new car.
Hmm. Okay. Well, that's an interesting point, because our conversation, it's really easy to be future focused. We're always talking about software in the future and what's to come. But I think the reality is, maybe people don't realize that we've actually been doing this in Stellantis for several years now, um,
Yes.
with connected services and apps in the vehicles. Uh, what have we learned from the first steps we've made in terms of connected vehicles? What have we learned about our customers and what they want?
I think what we have learned from our customers, the first thing is we have three types of customers. The first is B2C, the retail customers like you and I driving the
Hmm.
car. Then we have B2B, business to business, where they have small, mid-sized to large fleets of vehicles, like rental car fleets or commercial fleets that we also service. And for them, the same features making my drive safer, life easier, and drive exciting has a different kind of a connotation. It's all about productivity and reducing downtime with the vehicle. So their value proposition for a B2B customer is different than a B2C customer. And then you have the third type of customer who's looking at the connected cars, for example, going on the Orchard Lake. And every time there is a brake that's applied at a certain spot or certain place on Orchard Lake. So does it mean that there is a pothole there, or there is something going on with the quality of road? So we are collecting data with all of these connected cars as they move on the road. And there are a lot of people that are interested in getting this data. So that's the third type of customer that we have, that's interested in getting this data and analytics and insights from us.
Ah, the D word. It's interesting. I wondered how long it would be before it came up in this conversation, because you really can't talk about, no one these days. Well, if you talk about connected vehicles and V to X and all of this stuff, it's all about data, and that makes some people very nervous. I know you hear it all the time, that Stellantis or any kind of large entity would be collecting data from our customers and their
Mhm.
activities. On the other hand, some people are probably they're really quite comfortable with all of this, and they think they're actually helping everybody by doing it that way. So how do we at Stellantis approach this use of customer data, and what does it do for us?
I think we look at customers' data the same way we look at the safety of our customers, and we give it the same level of importance. as important as it is for us, for our customers to go safely from point A to point B, that they trust that if they have given us the consent for us to track or have the data, their data and the car data, that we are as careful with that data as possible, and we offer a really great value proposition to improve the quality of the car. If there is an over-the-air update that can be made to add a new feature to enhance something that's a broken experience in the car. So I think by getting this data, we are able to offer some value-added services to our customers, and they need to understand this value proposition from us clearly. And there's always going to be customers that are not comfortable with us getting this data from them, from the connected car, and we need to respect them. And we need to continuously keep going back to them and saying, hey, by the way, by getting your data, we can offer you, we know when this connected car has a safety recall.
Mm-hmm.
And we can see if this recall has been addressed or not. And so even these fundamental things like that, we can offer to our customers, and we can always go back to them and say, if we do not have the data, we would not know. And if the vehicle is changing ownership, right,
Mm-hmm.
then it's very tough for us to track the second owner or the third owner and go back to them and say, hey, there is a safety recall on your car. Please come back to the dealership so that it can get addressed.
Mm.
So we are also looking at not just the primary owner of the car, but we are looking at the second owner and the third owner. And what can we offer the second and the third owner as a value proposition so that they will continue to subscribe to the car, the connected car, continuing to be connected.
Right. That's an interesting thing, because I know the challenge of recalls today is our paper records don't always identify who the current owner of the vehicle is. So it helps maybe if we can send a message directly to the car that says, please, this is an important safety recall. We invite you to come to a dealer because we are not going to charge you for this. We just want you to fix. The whole airbag issue has been a real struggle.
Because that's a fundamental thing. It's almost like a fundamental thing that we can provide, right? With a connected car, we can notify on their mobile app that this vehicle that you have has a safety recall. Please go to the dealership, instead of doing snail mail. And how many of us today just tear that paper and throw it away and not even look at it?
Yeah. I just don't want you to send me a traffic ticket for my data. Not that I would ever do anything that would require a traffic ticket. Is the use of data, does that also vary in regions around the world, or are we trying to achieve one sort of global standard when it comes to this?
I think when it comes to data, every region has a data privacy laws and different regulations around data. And the first thing we need to make sure is we are complying with all of the local regulation and providing that kind of comfort, not just to the regulators, but also to the customers.
Okay.
That we are in compliance. So every region is different. Like, for example, in Middle East Africa, if we want to launch a connected car, in Middle East Africa, if you look at the region has so many countries. Turkey has its own data regulation. Then you look at the Middle East, like Saudi Arabia, and so UAE, everyone has their own data regulation. You can't just kind of generalize it and say, well, this is a global standard. Every region, and even within a region, countries have different standards.
Okay.
And sometimes we have to locally host our service delivery platform in that particular country. And some people may say, okay, I'm okay if you host the service delivery platform in Europe and service me from there. So I think it all depends, and sometimes it becomes even cost prohibitive for us to offer connected services. And that's where we need to work with our partners like Amazon to lower the cost of hosting these kind of service delivery platforms so that we can offer connected services in across all of the regions.
Okay, interesting. Um, Technology. Let's go back to the future for just a minute. So, since Stellantis was founded 3 years ago, and I think one of the first times I came in contact with you, we're putting a lot of effort in creating some new technology platforms that speak to the whole concept of software-defined vehicles.
Mhm.
And I'm talking about, we have Stella Brain, we have Stella Smart Cockpit, and Stella Auto Drive. So those we'll actually start launching some of those a little bit later this year. How will getting these platforms into our products change our interactions with our customers?
I think I've talked about software-defined vehicle, and these platforms for us are so integral to achieving all of the commitments we made to our customers, not just to the street, but to the customer about offering great customer experiences. So, for example, if you take a Stella Brain, it offers the right kind of compute power and storage, and it also gives us the power to update, to over-the-air update every component that's there in the car. That means the customer does not have to go to the dealership as much to get like a quality update for any of the components in the car. So whatever can be fixed with software can be fixed with software. Of course, mechanical failure and electronic failure still have to be addressed at the dealership.
Mhm.
But if you can address with software, whatever can be addressed with software on the components, and imagine going from 2 to 10 components getting over the air updates to 100% of the components getting over the air updates as a fundamental platform. Then you start looking at the applications of Stella Smart Cockpit and Stella Auto Drive. When you look at Stella Smart Cockpit, today I can remotely turn on my car. I can set a boundary alert for my car, and I can set like a speed alert and a curfew alert, these kind of remote operations that I can do from my mobile application. But I cannot go into my mobile app and say, when I enter into the car, let the car understand what is the comfortable temperature that I had my Nest device at home, and
Mhm.
carry the same temperature into the car. To have that kind of a smartness, to understand the various components of my digital life and offer the same personalization in the car. So that would
Okay.
be a wow thing. And that's what we're doing with Stella Smart Cockpit,
Okay.
right? Offering that level of personalization. And then once you step into the car, or even before you step into the car, you were watching you're going to be a passenger in the car, and you are watching Modern Family on Hulu, and you step into the car and you continue seamlessly on the passenger screen watching Modern Family. Again, for me, that would be a wow. You don't have to tinker with the screen. You don't have to go and say, this is my profile, and doing those kind of things. So your digital life is seamlessly carried from wherever you are, from outside of the car to inside of the car, and from inside of the car to outside of the car. Whether you're going from home to car, from car to work, or car to anywhere. And even imagine a situation where my car is driving by Starbucks, and I have a subscription to Starbucks, and I have like a free coffee, or the stars that I have on my app that are going to expire, and
Mhm.
my car is smart. I have a smartphone, and the Starbucks app is smart. So all of these smart things coming together tell me, oh, by the way, Mamta, you will lose 150 of your stars if you don't go and get your free coffee that you are eligible to get at Starbucks. And by the way, the Starbucks location that you are about to on your path is about 10-15 minutes away. I can place an order right now and make sure it's redeemed from the app that's there. So just imagine the level of personalization and convenience that we can provide to the customer. And for me, that's kind of a wow thing that we can provide with a Stella Smart Cockpit. And
That's pretty
then when
cool.
I look at Stella Auto Drive as another application, I do not know when we will get to complete autonomy of level 4 and level 5. Earlier, we always used to hold the crystal ball and say, oh, it's going coming in 21. I think we all have been we grossly underestimated not just the technology, but the regulation and customer adaptability for a full autonomy. So, but I think it's important that we continue to augment the intelligence of the driver by understanding all of the changing variables on from point A to point B that they are driving and augment their intelligence. And today there are 1.2 million fatalities all over the world, and more than 95% are caused by human error. And the whole auto drive application is to reduce the number of accidents, to send all those people back to their families. And that's why safety is so fundamental as a philosophy with auto drive for Stellantis.
That's a fascinating future that you're talking
Yes.
about, Mamatha.
Yes.
So let me hit you with just one final question. It's a little personal. But is there a software feature that you really want to have in your own vehicle? And I know you own a couple of vehicles, but is there something you'd really like to have in your vehicle? And are we close to it?
So I want an experience. So as you know that I have a Maserati MC20, and I want the ultimate experience with my Maserati. And my ultimate experience is, when I got my Maserati or my MC20, let me know when I can go on the track and which track I can go on, and coach me on how to get on this track and how to optimize my performance. Coach me. And maybe I want my Maserati, if it's an EV, pretty soon I'll be testing the Dodge EV. So maybe I want it to sound like, whatever, like a Ferrari when I'm on the track. Or maybe I want it to sound like something different, so that I can download a tune, or I can compare my track performance to my favorite race car driver.
There you go.
Or
maybe get him to put, get the system to put the line on the track for you so you can follow his path around the track. That's pretty cool.
I would want like a virtual avatar of my favorite race car driver sitting next to me and coaching me. That probably is far, far away in the future that I would love to have. But I think like the EV sounds is something of a possibility, near-term possibility with our Dodge vehicles, with the Fraxonic system that we are going to introduce. And I think the upgradable horsepower is a near-term feature that we will be launching with our Dodge EV vehicles. So I'm super excited about these features.
Wow, Mamatha, this has been really interesting. I'm telling you. Yeah, it'd be great to order some of that stuff up for your cars. It should give our listeners a few things to think about. Thanks a lot. I really appreciate your time and these insights and what's going on in your universe. And maybe we should get back together in 7 or 8 months and see how things have changed. And maybe by then you'll have your Dodge. You can tell me all about the Dodge EV. But thank you so much, Mamatha, for chatting with us today and providing at least a glimpse of the future.
Absolutely. It's been quite an exciting journey since we've become Stellantis. And to transform ourselves into a mobility tech company.
Right.
And then I hope everyone can feel it, and especially our customers can feel the experiences that we are not just delivering today with our cars, but what we're going to deliver in the future.
I look forward to it. And thank you for listening to the Stellantis Tech and AI podcast, where we speak with some of the brightest minds in the tech and automotive industries. We invite you to follow Stellantis Tech and AI on LinkedIn and Instagram to join the conversation, stay updated on what's ahead, and be a part of the community exploring the fast line of technology and AI in the automotive world. We'll see you again soon.